Hi, I'm here with Professor John Burgess, who is the co-guest editor, along with Professor Julie O'Connell, of the coming special issue of the Economic and Labour Relations Review. That special issue is called The Future of Work. Professor Burgess, thanks for your time.
A pleasure.
First of all, who is this special issue for?
In terms of the journal, it should cover a range of interests and disciplines, from labour economics to labour law, through to those who are researching work and workplaces, and of course futurologists, what's going to happen to the world of work in the future, given the profound technological changes which are taking place.
That's great. Well, to provide some further context for this conversation on those changes, could I guess the central provocations of the special issue come from this literature around the fourth industrial revolution. Could you define that for us and provide the key channels by which scholars are imagining it will impact the realm of work?
The fourth industrial revolution is associated with Klaus Schwab from the World Economic Forum, and he suggests that there's some sort of logical process to technological development, and we've gone through various phases over the last 200 years, and the latest phase he calls the fourth phase is where there is the potential for machine learning, cloud computing, robotics, artificial intelligence, and in a sense for most jobs and processes to be replaced by machines and artificial intelligence, putting most jobs that we know currently in jeopardy of technological substitution. And around this, there's been a lot of, I guess, hype and headline attention suggestions about 10% of jobs will be lost, 40% of jobs will be lost, 90% of jobs will be lost. And so what are we going to do in a future where there's nothing for people to do and everything is done by machines? So it is quite arresting. And there's a whole industry out there talking about and selling their ideas on technology and the future of work. And so the particular special issue tries to give some detailed assessments about, well, what actually is happening around work and workplaces. To what extent is there technological displacement? Are all jobs at risk, or are only some jobs at risk? What are the characteristics of the jobs at risk? Where is it occurring? How is it changing, etc.?
And just on the special issue itself, how have you set it up? Are they comparative pieces in different economies, or are they looking at different aspects?
The special issue tends to look at quite distinct topics across a range of countries. So the countries covered include Singapore, the USA, New Zealand, Canada, and the European Union. And the particular topics covered go from government preparation for the 4IR in terms of specific concrete policies, to how the new technology impacts on, for example, those jobs which in the past have been lowly valued, such as translation jobs, which are difficult. At one level, can easily be replaced by technology, but at another level, you do still need translators to to work beneath the translations and work out meaning, etc. So, but many of these jobs have been undervalued in the past because they're performed either by migrants or women. And so this particular article in the US sort of asked what's going to happen to those jobs as a result of the technological revolution, and will they be more highly valued? And of course the answer is no, they will not be more highly valued.
Okay, great. So looking at different regions, but each paper is speaking to fairly specific aspects of these changes.
Yeah.
So I have a couple of questions just to tease out some issues that appear as interesting for me. Firstly, my first one is that you make this point that when thinking about the impact of changing technology on the world of work, that the context and institutions matter. And my question on the basis of that is, do you think that the state itself, the state, as if there's some monolithic or equivalent state everywhere, do you think that the state is going to adapt or mutate in some way in response to these new requirements of work defined by automation and machine learning and things like that? Are we likely to see a transformation of the state in order to update state capacity, do you think?
I think that there are a number of challenges. I guess, first of all, what's happening, we can observe that the capacity of the state at one level is being undermined. For example, the loss of its income base. If, for example, transactions and work are occurring online and offshore, it's difficult to collect income tax and sales tax. So the state has to think about, well, where are its future income sources going to come from if people aren't going down to their local department stores and supermarkets to undertake their transactions, and they're not working in physical workplaces. So the process of regulation, and also associated with it, the process of collecting taxation, is compromised by the technological development. So the state has to look towards, well, where is its income source going to come from, and what is going to be a secure and reliable income source in the future. And the other thing is that at one level, the state is also responsible for forward-looking in terms of providing infrastructure, providing training, education, etc. It can't really think about exactly what is happening now. If you provide infrastructure, skills and training, that's really aimed towards providing those skills, infrastructure and training for operations and the workforce in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, etc. So again, the technology is forcing the state to be maybe more forward-looking than it has been in the past. And even at another fundamental level, the policy apparatus of the state is also being compromised because, fiscal policy and monetary policy, it's no longer necessarily operational in a clearly defined sovereign economy because of Bitcoin and, offshore corporations coming in and offering services where you can do your business, and maybe through internet banking, etc. You're not necessarily spending your money within the domestic economy. So again, this will force some sort of, mindset about, well, how do you set monetary and fiscal policy if it's not necessarily going to be specifically operational and effective within what you call the national economy? So I think that there are a number of interesting scenarios at work here, and I don't think many governments have really thought it through.
It's a lot of intersecting issues. Some not new, like the rise of MNCs is not. We've been thinking about this since there was such a thing as IPA, but some genuinely new issues, and the intersections seem very complex to me. So finally, just to return to the very heavy present, I was sort of impressed that you spoke to the coronavirus and included the coronavirus as an issue in this special issue, which I presume has been developed for quite a long time before the virus hit us. So I have this question about whether, which I think is important for a lot of people, whether you think that the virus is a delayer of some of the dynamics that you describe and that appear in this special issue and the other papers, or whether there's any reason to think that coronavirus might have a structural impact, that it might genuinely alter the path that we're on in terms of the long-term impacts of new technology that's on industry, society, and labor. What do you think?
I think it's probably going to accelerate change to a fair degree. I mean, first of all, we're seeing that businesses are using homework or remote work increasingly for for those workers who can, and they can work from home. And of course, this creates a whole range of other issues. On the plus side, you lose commuting time and all the costs associated with commuting time. On the negative side, then you are maybe subject to the problems faced by the intersection of work and home life, work and social life, etc. And of course, the possibility of maybe much greater surveillance, where surveillance goes into your home life as well. For businesses, they've got to think about, well, do you need central workplaces and commuting workforces and workspaces which occupy fairly expensive premises in CBDs? You may be able to get away with much smaller workplaces. You can have more people working from home. Also, businesses gain by the fact that it's workers who provide the electricity, the lights, the internet access, the computers, the offices, the cleaning, etc. So there's some gains for businesses as well, which they might try to capture in the longer term. So I think that there'll be a sort of a combination of forces at work that maybe workers may not want to go back to the workplace, and especially if it's, goes back to dreary 2 hours per day commutes, etc. And they may like to, capture some of the freedoms associated from working from home. And likewise, organisations might like to capture some of the costs, whether they be just the financial costs or maybe the productivity costs. Workers just doing the work which is required and not necessarily occupying an office or a desk, etc. So I think that maybe the technological changes will also intersect with organisational changes, and so this will probably speed up a lot of the changes which may have taken much longer to occur otherwise.
Yeah, fascinating. I had a similar response. I sort of have friends and colleagues who are very excited not to be traveling into work, and my first thought was, yeah, but you're now competing against hundreds of thousands more workers across the globe that you weren't previously. So.
Yeah, and again, environmentally, you don't need so many cars or buses or whatever, and it's there's an element of some sort of release from the dreariness of 9 to 5 commuters, etc. 5 days a week. But as I said, there's also a potential.
There's a lot of dangers. Okay, well, thank you so much. That sounds like a fascinating issue. I look forward to reading it.
Okay.
The issue is available at the Economic and Labour Relations Review. It will be ungated for a short period, so please keep on your Twitter feeds. Please look out for our emails, etc.
Okay.
Thank you so
Thanks
much.
very much. Cheers.